Welcome back to Style of Play Football with myself, Theo. As always, thank you very much for joining the channel. Now, before we get into today's video, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, you like the video, and you leave your thoughts. If you're an Evertonian, you're going to like this video because we're talking all things Everton, their final season at Goodison Park before they moved to Bramley-Moore Docks, which I have to say looks like an amazing stadium. I think it's just under 60,000 capacity. But as you go past it, you drive past it or you go past it on the train, it just stands out. It looks amazing. And if you know about Liverpool, you'll know that the Docks area, the Dockland area, is amazing as well. So I'm looking forward to getting to Bramley-Moore Docks eventually. But the last season at Goodison, where Everton have won FA Cups, league titles, European trophies, 131 years at Goodison Park. Again, I've been very lucky to be able to go and sit there, watch games and go behind the scenes, go into the dressing room, etc., and look at some of the history that's at that club. And it will be a shame when they do leave there. But I do feel that this season has to be the season again that Everton will kick on. Sean Dyche has got them playing some good football after some turbulent times under Frank Lampard and other managers that have been there in more recent times. But I look at Everton now, and the key thing, which we're going to get onto, the key thing is goal scorers. The key thing is goal scorers. Having a prolific goal scorer in front of them is something that is so clear to see that they need a goal scorer. If you're a betting man, as always, Everton. Now, I'm not going to say waste your money, but Everton are 750 to 1 to win the Premier League. Stranger things have happened, but I don't see that happening for Everton. Everton's finishing the top six is 25 to 1, and you can get 7 to 4 for Everton to be relegated. Now, one thing I always said about Everton is they need to try and bring some more balance into the team, bring in some additional fresh faces and get rid of some players as well. So let's talk about some of the outgoings that they have been able to get rid of. Obviously, the big one was Amadou Onana to Aston Villa for 50 million, which I think is a really good fee for Onana. I think he will be a big loss in terms of what he did bring to Everton. But I do look at the fee that Everton have got, the trouble that they're in terms of financially, the points deduction that they've had before the final season, the final weeks of the season just gone. And you look at Everton, financially they're a club that has struggled. I think they still don't have a new buyer to take them over as well. So I think as much money they can get through the doors as possible, I'm sure Everton fans will agree, is a plus. And you can understand why that signing's happened. But I do feel that Onana, I loved the fact that he would drive forward with the ball, he'd chip in with the goals, he'd get assists. When we did the Villa preview for the season, one of the things that I picked up on was that, he's one of those players that he's not scared to take defenders on. He will drive into the box. He will make those runs into the space behind the defenders as well. And again, aerial threat off set pieces, corners and free kicks as well. So I think Aston Villa have got themselves a really good deal there. Ben Godfrey, another one who I always thought was going to kick on at Everton. I thought, I watched him a lot when he was at Norwich. He had that really bad leg break, I think, at the first game of the season against Chelsea. And I don't think he's ever really been able to get his career back online, or back, revive it in terms of, holding down a regular place in the squad for Everton. And obviously Sean Dyche has preferred other players in that back line ahead of him. So I think going to Atalanta was probably a good move for him. He's only 26, so it's still time for him to come back to the Premier League and prove himself. Again, a really good fee, £10 million what was paid for him. So I think, they look at that as the fee that was probably paid for him, and try and recoup some of that money back for a player that probably isn't in the manager's plans. Makes sense. Lewis Dobbin, another one that brings back memories at Stamford Bridge as a Chelsea fan, scoring a goal against us. But 21 years of age, 10 million, another deal that was done for Aston Villa. I do like Lewis Dobbin enough. I'm looking forward to seeing him step up at Aston Villa. I think it made sense for him to go this summer from Goodison, because I don't think he was ever really going to be, again, in the manager's plans. And if that's the case, then, you need to move him on. So I think, with Everton, they'll be happy with that. They're happy with the fee as well. Two released players as well. So Andre Gomez has been released, and alongside Dele Alli, who we knew was always potentially going to be released, especially after his stint on Monday Night Football, where he kind of alluded to, you know, that he probably won't be retained at Everton beyond that. But let's look at some of the incomings as well. So they've brought in Ndiaye from Marseille, 16.9 million. They've got Jack Harrison from Leeds, who was there last season. Jack O'Brien has come through from Lyon, 16.4, and Jesper Lindstrom, a very powerful attacking midfielder from Napoli, who's coming on loan as well. So they have brought in some really good depth, I think, for what Everton will need going forward in the summer and for especially for the season. I just now look at their squad depth and I think, you know, they are still potentially lacking in certain areas. Obviously, they still have Mikalenko, Idrissa Gueye, Garner, Decore, McNeil, Nathan Patterson, James Tarkowski as well. And Pickford obviously is going to be instrumental. I love Jordan Pickford for Everton and also for Everton and for England. I think he's come in and he's done a job and he saves. You know, look back to last season, some of those saves that he makes, they're almost as good as a goal for Everton at times. And I say that with the greatest respect, but as I said at the start, this lack of goals has been a massive thing for Everton. You know, struggling to get Calvert-Lewin fit for, you know, a run of games. Beto hasn't really hit the form that you'd think they would want to be able to get as well. So I look at the strikers that they've got, obviously Neil Maupay as well, and Chimiti. None of them scream out, you know, 15 to 20 goals. And you'd like to think that would have been Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but as I said, you know, not getting him fully fit for the seasons just gone has really, really hampered Everton going forward. Seamus Coleman has signed another new deal. So has Ashley Young, 39 years of age. He still retains a spot in the lineup. So I look at Everton. Obviously finished 15th last season. They could have finished a lot higher without those points deductions. But I look at Everton, and they're a squad for me that has to hit the ground running. The new signings that they brought in will have to hit the ground running. I think, as I said, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, you know, 7 goals scored. It just isn't enough for a prolific goal scorer, for someone who, you know, you're heavily relying on your goalsman, your talisman to get those goals. And if he's not going to be able to do that, then ideally they need to still, for me, bring in another striker who's going to be able to do that, who's got the history and the experience of playing at the top level and scoring goals, you know, all the time. You know, not being scared to hit the back of the net, take the shots on. You know, sometimes I watch Calvert-Lewin and he's almost hesitant to take the shot on. Maybe that's a confidence thing, maybe it's a lack of game time, but I think he has to be able to, you know, increase his chance of scoring goals, getting in the right positions as well. I think he's got to keep fit first of all, but getting in the right positions and making sure he takes those chances. Another player that I'm looking forward to seeing, Dwight McNeil with his assists. You know, I think he's one of those players that will work the channels very well. Again, loves to take on defenders, loves to get the ball into the box in the third part of the pitch. And I think, you know, I think he got 6 assists last season. You know, I think he'll say, maybe if you, on reflection, he'd say that he could have done probably a bit more in terms of stats, getting those balls in, chipping in with a couple more goals. And I think that's another thing with Everton. You know, yes, they should be relying on Calvert-Lewin, but I think some of the other players, you know, I know Decore's done it previously as well, but some of the other players need to chip in with goals as well. And maybe that's why they brought in, you know, the likes of Lindstrom and Ndiaye as well, to help boost those numbers for the goal scorers going forward. Idrissa Gueye, another one. Again, if you're into your tackles and fouls for your betting, then obviously Idrissa Gueye. Onana was obviously another one, but Idrissa Gueye loves a good tackle. 73 tackles in total, 35 fouls committed, 8 yellow cards last season. He is someone that I feel, again, in that midfield is going to be crucial. I always say that the midfield is the engine of a team, and I think with Gueye, with Garner, you know, they're going to be so crucial for Everton this season. And obviously the new signings that they brought in as well. But the big one for me, Jared Branthwaite is a player that Everton have to try and retain this season. I really think they do. I know there's going to be temptation. Obviously, there's a lot of talk with United, but they've now signed Matthijs de Ligt. So I think that will die down. But I do think, you know, they have to try and retain him and keep him at the club. You know, I think he's an experienced Premier League defender at such a young age. Yes, they might lose him going forward in, you know, a season or two, but I do think this last season at Goodison, it has to end on a high for Everton. And I think even try and push into again, very much like Crystal Palace, push into those European spots and try and get themselves into, you know, some sort of respectable position in the league, and then move into the new season, next season, into the new stage in 25-26 with a bit more momentum to go again. But I do think with Sean Dyche, you know, he's clearly got a plan, a vision. He's trying to implement that. Again, my only worry is the goals. You know, if Everton don't get enough goals, you know, those draws that they keep getting, those defeats that they get, those last minute conceded goals that they concede, that has to be stamped out this season, because if they don't, you know, they will end up, you know, the last couple of seasons under Frank Lampard, you know, even last season, I know that they had the points deduction and they still done well to climb out there and get a 15th place position finish. But I do think they've been flirting with that relegation too much. And as I said, there's loads of things going off behind the scenes. You know, with the change of ownership, the stadium needs to be completed. There's talk of another points deduction for them, but I do think they have to get this spot on. You know, if they don't, then I do feel that, you know, it'd be a shame for them to obviously end their Goodison tenure. You know, 131 years, I think I just said, at Goodison Park. To then go to Bramley-Moore Docks in the Championship just doesn't sit right with even, you know, Liverpool fans as well. I'm sure would agree with that. And obviously you still want that rivalry, that Derby Day atmosphere between Liverpool and Everton throughout. So I'm looking forward to Everton this season. My star player for Everton, I think, will be Jared Branthwaite. I think if they keep him, he's going to be so crucial in that back line. You know, obviously they've got Tarkowski. You know, they've got Michael Keane, I think, who's still there, and some of the other players. But you look at the wings, the fullback positions, Ashley Young, Seamus Coleman. I know Nathan Patterson's there as well, Mikalenko on the left side. But you look at how often they were used last season, Coleman, especially Ashley Young, more so even on the left side as well. You have to maybe question, you know, the centre-back's going to be stretched in that back line, and they're going to have a massive role to play, keeping Jordan Pickford as quiet as possible. So for me, player to watch would be Jared Branthwaite. Star player will be Jared Branthwaite. And I think my player to watch will be, I'm actually going to go for Dwight McNeil, because I think there's a player in there. So I'm looking forward to seeing Dwight McNeil. I think he still needs to step up in terms of, like I said before, assists, you know, creating more chances, chipping in with the goals. I think he still needs to do all of those things. But I think with Dwight McNeil, Sean Dyche is probably one of those managers that will be able to get the best out of him. So I'm looking forward to seeing not just Everton as a team, but in particular, Branthwaite and McNeil this season coming now. So if you're an Evertonian, let me know your thoughts about the takeover. Will it happen in time? Will there be another points deduction? Who are your star players and your players to watch for Everton at Goodison? And also let me know your thoughts on Bramley-Moore Docks. Does it look amazing as I think it does? Or do you think it looks like a UFO spaceship? Give me your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave. And also like this video, and we'll be back very soon. Thank you very much for watching.